Thank you for allowing me to follow you home. I know that I kind of talked you into the idea, my dear. But I'm really only trying to look out for you and your best interests. You can't really blame me for something like that, can you? You cursed me with the simple gift of endearment, and in turn, I can only hope I can worm my way into your heart and kind. I know that you'd do the same if I were troubled. With a stalker, especially. So the fact that you're allowing me to do the same is... well, dare I say it, I find it quite nifty, in fact. Besides, the supplementary data I'm collecting will surely be helpful in my next bout of studies, surely. I mean, just knowing the kind of books on your shelf surely says something about the average reading level or interest of the, well, demographic you inhabit. Of course, calculating an average can be rather difficult when only being able to apply one subject. I should try to get invited to more kids' houses. I don't know when I got into this kind of neurotic data collecting, really, now that I think about it. I mean, most people would be horrified to think of their life on a graph, seeing it calculated and quantified and easily commodified or compartmentalized, but that's kind of how I've always thought about it. About the world, really. I don't know any other alternative. So, I can only really hope that this is an acceptable way to live. Quantifying the food you eat beyond calorie counting, or how many stitches it might take to sew the very mask I wear with such pride, or how many miles it takes to go from one place or another. It's a world of nothing but numbers. Numbers waiting to be factored, waiting to be accounted for. And I want to be the one to account for them all. But counting is just that when you don't try to apply it to anything. Counting for the sake of counting. Numbers for the sake of numbers. Rhythmic exercises for the sake of the rhythmic exercise at all. Being able to account for the other factors grounds them in some way, like counting how many books on your shelf were once on the New York Times bestseller list, and how that could factor into marketing and commodifications for this region of the world. It's all that little stuff that means the most, you know? Just you letting me rave about any of this on an almost daily schedule is kind of you. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that before. I might have mentioned it at the time, sure, but that means nothing when you're forced to weather that kind of storm for hours, days, weeks at a time. Kind of like how you're letting me reflect on all of this before we fall asleep. Thank you for lending me a pair of pajamas. Your detergent is nice. So much better than the stuff my sister uses. It's simple. It actually smells clean. I really appreciate it. Have I told my sister where I am? She's a difficult sort. It's better to not worry her. She'd be less worried if I didn't come home than if I just happened to be staying at a friend's house, believe you me. She's that type. I don't really understand it personally. All I know is that she's presumptuous. And she always assumes that I'm on the verge of battery. Sylvia Plath would walk the borderline of proud in regards to that one. I mean, I suppose I'm harassed a tad more often than the average girl, sure, but she isn't talking about assault in that matter. She thinks it would be at your hands, actually. And I think she's preposterous for it. Because I know you. And I think I know myself just as well, actually. Sorry. This is probably the last thing you want to hear when you're on the verge of falling asleep. I don't really know what you're supposed to do at sleepovers. I never had any, and even then, this isn't exactly your film grade version where we have a pillow fight and watch horror movies and talk about our crushes. Though I have to wonder how accurate those really are in the first place in terms of collective schema. Who decided that girls would tell spooky stories around flashlights and do makeovers in the first place? Is it just what they do as is, or is it about living up to the construct? I know. I'm just here to make sure your lover boy doesn't pop in through the window while you're sleeping. I mean, lover boy is a gender-neutral term, by the by. I mean, it could be a girl coming in through your window. Or a boy. Would you feel more or less threatened by that? Well, it's just a question. I'm keeping things light. If you wanted to take this the utmost seriously that you could, you probably would have already called the police and asked them to investigate. Even if they are actively unhelpful, it's the general expectation of what is to be done in an instance such as this. But you didn't. Might I ask why? You know, I think you'd be safer if we slept closer together. I mean, maybe the love letter was only the beginning, you know? Maybe now that they know that they can easily slip in and out of your room without anyone knowing, without investigation by authorities, well, it's not unbelievable that they may try something else. Something far more wretched and lurid. If we slept closer together, not only is there a chance I would feel something if something was happening, but I could prevent it. And maybe even then they'd grab me by mistake and you'd be all the more safe. I know you don't like it when I talk like that, but you can't deny my assessment, especially when we're working with such a limited knowledge base. All we know is that there's somebody who likes you, and likes you a lot. And that somebody has the capacity to be very dangerous. Though whether that possible danger is only directed at you is unknown at this point. So, come on. Get close to me. I apologize if I'm a little too bony for comfort, but you have to understand that Oh, okay. Quieting down now. My apologies. I'll... Mm. I'll keep you safe. I'll protect you from all things. As long as your arms are wrapped around mine, and my arms are the same. As long as I'm able to lie by your side and whisper sweet nothings into your hair, I will keep you safe and warm.